Welcome, everyone. People are still scurrying through the door, so it's good to wait a moment so we can get a good look at each other. I keep kind of privately threatening myself, really, that someday we'll open like this and then we'll just keep sitting here for the hour looking at each other and it will be just fine. You know? I'll have Nellie, our monitor, unmute here in just a moment because she has a bell, so she can support our invitation into sitting and the marker for the end of our silent time. So please enjoy this time and let yourself get settled. I hope that as you sit, you can touch on or receive or experience some bit of peace, peacefulness, all the conditions might not be totally peaceful. But maybe there's enough stillness, enough quiet, and enough steady uprightness to touch on or be touched by a peacefulness or peace that is independent of those conditions. Before we were here, not just those of us on the screen, before humans were here, maybe even before any life was here, there was that great primordial activity. And still an infinite kind of peace. And after we're gone, that kind of peace outside of conditions will continue. We're here for such a short time, wrapped in that deep, inconceivable peace. Independent of all the conditions that are swirling around us. They're not to be denied. They just don't touch the essential peace that I'm pointing to. Rest in that vast peacefulness because it is vast, actually infinite, inconceivable. It's the source of all the things that we experience as not peaceful. And it's the space in which all of that will return. We're held and nourished and live so close to this peace that it's difficult to even realize it or feel its presence at times when our minds and our bodies and our hearts get so entangled in the everydayness, which is important to attend to. But in sitting, we enact this reminder of something vast, something free, something unhindered, even as we live in the limited, hindered world. Let's invoke the verse of the robe as an expression of that infinite peace. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. It's wonderful, as always, to see you and to spend a little time with you. Each time I arrive, I've had to spend some time thinking about what I wanted to say, or what was moving through me, or what wanted to be spoken about. And oddly, one of the things that would not leave me alone, it just kept coming back, um, was I kept thinking about the three pure precepts. Now, those of you who have studied the precepts or been to a Jukai ceremony or some other ceremonies know that there are three sort of generally orienting um, precepts that precede the ordinary ones that you think of as the precepts about, not stealing, not lying, not misusing sexuality, not intoxicating, things like that. And I think I couldn't get it out of my mind because, like many of you, I'm sure, I'm um, daily reflecting on how are we conducting ourselves in these times, and how are other people conducting themselves in these times. What shape are we in? How are we shaping our hearts and our minds by what we're practicing each day? Not just on the cushion practice, but what we're actually doing. How are we shaping each other by the way we're acting in the world? And then the bigger question, what's the actual shape of the Buddha's heart and mind? And is this the shape we want to accord with or follow or attune with? These are the kind of questions that make sense when I'm asking, what kind of shape are we actually in? And how are we shaping ourselves? And how are we shaping each other? And how is that associated with the shape of the Buddha's heart and mind? Because I think the three pure precepts, which we don't often attend to very much, we kind of, I don't know, I've always thought of them as sort of orienting principles, and then we move on to like the real precepts. I'm being a little facetious by saying that, but the three pure precepts, which I'm going to describe here a bit, actually describe the structure and fundamental design of the enlightened mind. And for those who dedicate their lives to the welfare of all beings, in other words, you take the Bodhisattva vow, then these three pure precepts are like a straightforward and unobstructed path to realization of the vow. The three pure precepts are the shape of Buddha's mind. So a classical translation of the early in Sanskrit or Chinese or Japanese for the three pure precepts are: number one, embracing and sustaining standards of conduct. This is kind of a literal translation. Embracing and sustaining good actions, and embracing and sustaining all beings. Is this what we see around us right now? Do we see a world that is embracing and sustaining standards of conduct? And what about you? Do we see a world that is embracing and sustaining good actions? Do we see a world that's embracing and sustaining all beings, all beings? Well, I know I'm once again preaching to the choir, but these are things that are really clear. So in the Jukai ceremony that we use, the translation that's more common, um, and it's translated into a vow because we're asking the person to take the vow. I vow to refrain from all harming. I vow to do what is life-giving. I vow to live and be lived for the benefit of all beings. Is this what we see around us? People enacting their vow to refrain from harm. Do we live in a world where, number two, we see people enacting their vow to do only what is life-giving? Number three, and the translation I just love, do we see people living and being lived for the benefit of all beings? To make it even shorter, number one, preserve life, take good care of it. Number two, nourish life, encourage and support it. Number three, plunge into life, don't hold back. Preserve life, nourish life, plunge into life. Refrain from harming, do what's life-giving, live and be lived for the benefit of all beings. Embrace and sustain good conduct, embrace and sustain good actions, embrace and sustain all beings. This is the shape of the Buddha's mind. This is the orientation to life. Here's a story. This is one of the old stories from China. Zhu Yi was a lay student, and for a certain period of time, he practiced with a master called Dao Lin. So this is the classic kind of koan story. So Zhu Yi is the lay student. Dao Lin is his master. So one day, Zhu Yi said, and this is the usual opening line, to his teacher, "What is the essential meaning of Buddha Dharma?" And Dao Lin said, "Refrain from unwholesome action, do wholesome action." And Zhu Yi said, if that's the essential meaning of the Buddha Dharma, a 3-year-old child could have said that. And Dao Lin said, yeah, a 3-year-old child may say this, but even an 80-year-old person cannot practice it. And Zhu Yi bowed in gratitude and retreated. He left. So this is a story that I was really happy to find because it echoed what I was thinking about. At first, Dao Lin's response, refrain from unwholesome action, do wholesome action. That's like the 3 pure precepts. Seems really basic, something a kid could do really easily. Especially when we have that parental voice in our head It says, now you straighten up, you do the right thing and don't do the bad. It's not that. A kid can do that or not do that. But it's a simple reminder, I think, from the Zen master's point of view, of the difficulty of embodying wisdom versus merely trying to understand it intellectually. And Zhu response, when he said, well, even a kid could do this, it's a tendency, I think, to dismiss simplicity as being superficial. If it's simple, it must be superficial. But I think this is why we often pass over the three pure precepts. They're like obvious. Don't do bad stuff, do good stuff, take care of people. Okay. And then we go on to the stuff we really need to get to, don't steal, don't lie. But actually, we've just skipped over the shape of the Buddha's mind, which is the entire thing. And how many times have you heard me say, how simple are you willing to let this be? It's that invitation to go deep, not to go, it's not Buddha light. How simple are you? People will repeat this to me all the time. And you know what they most often repeat back to me? How simple can you let it be? Or are you going to let it? They don't say, how simple are you willing to let it be? So again, Dallin, the teacher, he refrain from unwholesome action and do wholesome action. It seems really simple, but he's later on, in the conversation, he's challenging Zhu Yi by saying the teaching is easy to articulate, but truly living it is extraordinarily difficult, even for someone with a lifetime of experience, because they're embedded in this world that is inviting you to do otherwise. And knowing is not the same as doing. We don't need a bunch of complex theories and deeper truths. What we need to do is immerse our body in a dedicated way in the Dharma, because wisdom isn't about accumulating a bunch of knowledge, but integrating it into our life. And Zhu Yi's bow at the end of gratitude was the expression and the recognition of the depth of what Dallin was saying. Get it in your body, enact it. The lesson isn't about seeking more sophisticated answers, but by deepening your practice of what you already know. You know this stuff. Keep deepening it. The transformation happens not in understanding, but in practicing. And even the simplest truths take a lifetime to master. Support life, nourish and encourage life, live for the benefit of all beings. And, I've offered you things like this before, but so last night I was in bed and then a thought came to me that I wanted to make a note of. And how many of you have had this experience? You think, oh, I'll remember that in the morning. And how many times do you remember it? Zero. So I get up and go into the room where the computer is so I can just add it to my notes that I have and write down a few things. And then Aaron came in and was like, well, where are you? What are you doing? I said, well, I'm just, and he's familiar with me doing this, of course. And I was trying to see if these thoughts about the pure precepts made any sense or maybe would resonate with anybody. And so earlier in the day, yesterday, there was a group that meets. I've referenced this group before of older Zen teachers that I'm part of. We meet once a month. And I wasn't at the meeting because of all the complex things that are going on in our life right now. And I had sent a note because, like, any group you're in, if you're committed to it, you want to let people know if you're not there. And I said, I can't come because of this. And we'd gotten some more medical information that was powerful. And so anyway, that was the background. So in the middle of the night, I'm sitting there, and as I type a few notes, you know how on your computer there's a little thing that says, "Oh, an email just came in," and it says the subject line. It just says "from Japan." So that got my attention, and so I opened the email, and it was from one of the group members. It was from Peter Levitt, who's a wonderful poet, a translation partner with Kaz Tanahashi in many things I'm sure you've read. He's a really dear friend. He's an amazing man. And Peter's not here, but here's his email. Very short. From Japan. Dear Flint, yes, a tough couple of weeks. In whatever way I can be, I am here for you as always. Before I got your note just now, this came. It may be for you. And then he writes a haiku that had just come to him. Who can see blossoms in Kyoto's cherry spring and not know their heart? Who can see blossoms in Kyoto's cherry spring and not know their heart? And then under that, he wrote, sending love and great care, Peter. So almost 30 years ago, in April at this time, when the cherry blossoms were blooming in Japan, I walked with Blanche through the streets of Kyoto. Who can see blossoms in Kyoto's cherry spring and not know their heart? And as I read Peter's note, and not know their heart, and not know the heart of the blossoms, who can see the blossoms and not know their heart? Or the person looking to not know their heart? Is there a difference? If we preserve life, we nourish life, we plunge into life, like right now with each other, and to know your own heart and the heart of life itself and each other's hearts. So I hope you discover your heart and mine and find that it is the shape of the Buddha's heart and mind. It is, but you only know it through your actions. You only know it through those three pure precepts about how you engage the world. So what did these things call for you today? Anything? Any questions or reflections to engage intimately or deeply or truly? I see Becky.
Flint, thank you so much for this. During all of that, I had a picture that puts life all back together again in some way.
Mm.
Because recently I've been very much observing the things that aging has brought me as my teacher.
Yes.
And so many things. I mean, it's like patience, like that one gets bigger and bigger. And many things. But I find that I am often, it's like like at the beginning of our lives, and as we look at it and go, okay, this is my life, and we try to learn as best we can how to live in our culture and not be jangled in it, and not, and we do the best we can to figure out how to do that. And then we get caught in it somehow and think that's reality across our active lives of parenting or work and so on in the context of the culture we're in. And when we are gifted aging and we don't have to do the working because we can get by, and we can look because we have more time that acts differently. Even the time does go slower and make it simpler in some ways to be aware of each moment as much as possible. And there's so many things here that are caught in that. But I find that right now I bump into the things that I have for most of my life in terms of what this is a goofy way to do things. It's like, but here we were, and this is what it was. Um, I find myself completely stuck regularly because not very much about this culture goes together with the way we want to be living our lives, and it's almost impossible. And I keep getting just completely stuck, and I try to just be kind to myself and give myself the time to sit, the time to step back from, and so on. But I just wonder if you have any tips from your own experience or other people of our ancestors across time.
Everything that you said thus far, if we took the transcript of what you just said from the recording, the title would be Reflections on What I Learned Because I Didn't Die, Even Though I Was Supposed to.
Hmm.
We'll all become ancestors. That's the name of someone who has left their body. They're an ancestor. Those loved ones you have, they've become ancestors. A child that's died is an ancestor. And we keep learning if we pay attention as long as we live. And when we've had a threat to our life, and then suddenly we have a reprieve that we didn't expect, the perspective does change. Things are changing just because you age. Things change because um, people around you are struggling. Someone you love has been given a difficult diagnosis. Everything changes. And the life will go on, and people will be crazy and do difficult things. They're not going to get straightened out, not in the big way. But individually, we can. If you look back, it's always been the same, just a new story. But what I learned because I didn't die was what you're telling us. Thank you for that.
How simple can I make this? How simple let it be. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, Breathe out. How simple can we make this? How simple let it be. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Thank you, Flint.
A great song.
You wrote it.
I didn't do the music part, just the libretto. Yeah, Cass, in Arlington.
Yeah, I'm in Arlington with all my stuff. And since yesterday, internet,
Wow.
which was its own uh, sasheen experience, noticing of a compulsion of how often I want to look something up. Um, so, as you were talking about the three main precepts, I uh, I noticed that the desire to fix wasn't one of them, and how much, like how often I feel that invitation. Oh, if I want to offer care to somebody, then I want to offer some way of fixing something, or um, like that. And as you have shared what all is going on, and I've wanted to, like, you've taught me how to care and how to open up my ability to care. I
Mhm.
feel like I don't know how to care for you. And like the thing that came to me was like to sit upright and to breathe together and to meet everything that's in front of us. Um,
Well, here's my next lesson.
okay.
Guard your impotence as your most valuable weapon.
So say again, let me make sure I hear.
This is from Carl Whitaker. I'll say in a different way. He says, guard your impotence as your most valuable weapon. The next one is the next edge for you isn't about care and open-heartedness. It's about accepting your helplessness,
Yeah,
which means staying close to grief, which is just another form of love.
yeah.
If I called on you, you'd be here in a second.
Oh, you betcha.
You can do stuff like with the best of them. That's not an issue. That's not a practice edge for you. The practice edge is not dimming down the love and staying close to the helplessness. That's fierce.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
can do that.
Yeah, different sliders.
Yeah. Uh, so I I'm noticing how much like how every direction I turn with anyone other than me is to offer care and to turn that back around and truly care for myself is
And
uh,
allow yourself to receive care, not just care for
oh, gosh, yes, that's the one.
you. It's like, let me hand you. That's a joke, by the way, everybody. Tell them what it means.
Well, evidently, I have a reputation for throwing a box of Kleenex back at the people who are offering it.
Sometimes in groups you would need it, and I'd give her one and she'd throw it at me, at my head.
I didn't even know I was doing it. Uh,
But it is so hard for you to receive the love that you want so badly.
yeah,
You're not
that's
alone.
yeah.
I won't even ask people to raise their hands, you know. You're not alone.
So
That's the edge.
that's the edge.
And it has to do with the helplessness, which is just another form of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Vulnerability. And as you get older and as you're with your mom, as
Yeah.
she's older, that's the realm you're in. That's some of what Becky's talking about, of course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Oh,
noticing my own patience and my own edges with all of that. Yeah.
oh, now this.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so some days there's, oh, don't know what to do, or there's nothing to do, even though there's a lot that's not great.
Yeah.
So then that's when I just want to lean up against you.
Yeah.
Just say, well, here we are.
So here we are.
And if you want to feel yourself leaning up against Buddha, sit upright.
Yeah.
Which one will it be? Chet or Sunny?
Ah,
Or both?
I'm always too shy, so it
But
was funny.
you're there, you're there. That's good.
You have something you want to add, you by all means. Uh I was just uh my heart is just like it's shredded.
Oh, but by something happening here?
Yeah, like what Becky was saying about, we try so hard to like live into what we vow, and
Mhm.
the world is just fucking brutal, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so hard. And I feel like I'm tired of trying, like I don't have what it takes and I just want to go retreat. Like I just want to
No,
hide.
you do not have what it takes to fix that real world.
Yeah.
You have what it takes to walk your dog, to be with Chet, to cry with me, to appreciate Becky, to appreciate Cassie. And that's the only place it's going to show up. The world is going to be the world. That's true. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But if you get too big out there, you're going to lose where your heart can, and if you get too small, you're going to, lose the world. I've got to reel you in a little bit. Love what's in front of you. Do what's in front of you. It's true. It's brutal out there, and you've had more than your share of that in your own life and family. That's true. So you get reminded of it. But you have a good man sitting next to you. You have a wonderful dog behind you. You have friends here. That doesn't make it all okay, but that's what we got. Sometimes we just need a reminder.
Yeah.
When you have I don't know if I got my ages right, but let's say about an 18-month-old or maybe 2-year-old, and they get really pissed off and they hate you and they try to bite and then you grab them and hold them and they still try to bite you and hit you and I hate you until they finally collapse. They give up the fight and plunge into the care and the love that's there. That's what I want to keep doing to you.
That's what it felt like Becky was doing,
Yeah.
was like singing me back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the lullaby. And so, as Cassie was saying, if you keep your heart open to it so it goes in, if you can feel the shredding, sure, but it's actually the healing too.
Sometimes I think, you know how sensitivity, I think a lot of us here are really sensitive,
Yeah.
caring people.
Mhm.
And I just want to put us in bubble wrap or something. Like it's just, like if you were a reptile, you'd be doing fine right now. And so it's just painful.
Yeah.
It's just so painful. But
Well, this is the bubble wrap. this.
I know, that's why I came in today and
Good.
uh I guess I wish there was a way for us to do it more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's why we want good people around us, good practice around us,
Yeah.
Sangha, a good dog,
And more lullabies from Becky.
or lullabies. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I just wanted to speak for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you spoke from that place because you're not the only person here who holds that place. So thanks for speaking for it and letting me meet you there. I trust you to speak the truth. You trust me to meet you. That's pretty good. That's not everywhere.
I know that's actually part of the problem.
That is, yes, you have the mind of a mismatcher. You always see what doesn't line up instead of
Yeah,
seeing,
it's true.
yeah, yeah. That's just part of your cognitive style, you know.
Yeah. I know when you were giving Cassie her practice edges, I was like, give me mine. So so I know what it is.
Uh-huh.
But that's one, maybe. I don't
Uh,
know.
beat you into loving submission with love, you know. Make you tolerate love, you know.
You've got Sebastian hearts.
Exactly.
Uh, uh, yeah, well, I'm also, Cass, I wanted to say thanks for asking about how we can care for Flint because I know we all desperately want to, and I also know, Flint, what you were saying about, I mean, the good thing is I have a lot of experience watching painful things and having helplessness around it, tons of experience with that, but I know that not everybody does, so it's really hard. And
Because I have so many of you with so many perspectives, I am well covered.
yeah, you got all the ground covered,
I know.
all the function and dysfunction. Uh, yeah, but I just appreciate her speaking to that because I know that's going to be a part of us for a while. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm so grateful and won't take up more time, but yeah, thank you for
Good.
restoring my shredded heart. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And speaking of care and needing care, Mary Beth.
Hi. Can you hear
There.
me? Yeah, hi.
Okay.
I just can't get this image of the cherry blossoms out of my mind. And
Me
it's
either.
just, it's so beautiful. And so my mother being 100, and me spending time with her, it's like I'm counting the cherry blossoms. And it's so beautiful. I wanted to share one cherry blossom if I can, just a quick story. Um, so I'm taking her to visit assisted living facilities and we're doing these tours, and it's been so joyful because she's so adorable. And we're in the elevator and holding the door for this gentleman, young guy, to come in. He's pulling a wagon and he's got some paper goods and some shoe boxes and stuff. And he looks at us and says, "Oh, I'm helping my mom move in." And you know, we say, "Oh, great," and have a little chit chat. And then he gets off the elevator, and my mom looks at me and he said, My mom looked at me and she said, "I guess she thinks she's going to live a long time with all that toilet paper." It was a wagon full of toilet paper and paper towels and some shoe boxes. And I just looked at her and I said, "I hope she does, Mom." I mean, she's just so cute. And I keep getting these cherry blossoms of cuteness from her.
They keep
And
falling, blossoms
they,
on you.
yeah, so thank you for the beautiful haiku because it gave me a framework of these blossoms I'm getting from her.
Well, and I'm glad Peter came to visit me in the night from Japan and left that beautiful gift. It's just really stunning. It really stopped me. And I thought, oh, I have to share this with you guys. And it's a good place. Yeah, we sometimes wonder about, we get old, we're going to outlive our money. It's going to outlive your toilet paper or your paper towel.
Thank you. You're
Yes.
dear to me, and I really appreciated the message today.
Well,
Love
that's
you
good.
dearly.
We'll send our love to you and to your 100-year-old mom.
Thank you.
And Lynn,
I noticed myself moving forward on my seat. And I just wanted to come and sit with you.
I'll move forward with you.
Mm.
And hopefully I'll be able to sit in your actual physical presence before too long.
And I won't see you in May because I can't come. So,
Oh, I won't. Okay.
mm,
Darn.
yeah, yeah, I'm really aware of that. And it's such a joy to sit with everybody here
Yeah.
and to be here. And I offered a talk a couple of weeks ago in Nothing Missing, and the title was It's an Ordinary, Extraordinary Day, and my heart is completely broken.
Mhm. That sounds about right.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I keep coming back to is both the pain of the broken heart and the shatteredness that we were talking about before, but also the, that Son was talking about, but the beauty of having a broken heart.
That's what I was just thinking. Having experienced that so intimately, so often recently, it's the painful stuff, but it's full of exquisite beauty. So much love in there.
It's where the true love is.
I think so. It's revealed there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just like Cassie, I want to be able to care. The part that wants to be able to care. The mum and the
Yeah,
carer that is there in all of us. I think.
sure.
If love
Please,
is there, we want to care.
yeah, please do meta.
Mm.
Please offer loving kindness. Send me a note. But your biggest gift is your practice. That supports all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Got time for Ed here.
Yeah, got in just under the wire. I won't do the dissertation because we'll be here another half hour.
Not the pre-ramble.
Yeah, that's a preamble. um, One of the most important things that I just wanted to say is I want to pull a DeWitt Jones and at the top of my lungs yell, "Thank you."
Mhm.
And you know what that's like. Um,
On the beach.
on
Yeah.
the beach, yeah, and the depth and completeness of what that says and how it echoes and supports the reality that a lot of this is ordinary, um, but there's miracles in the ordinary, and we have those wonderful moments when a miracle becomes ordinary. Just to have that feedback loop there is really precious. And thank you for how you stated the three things, those jewels to keep polishing. And something that's been quite prevalent and continuing to grow and be top of mind, and I know especially probably for the things you're dealing with, the things I'm dealing with,
Yeah.
is that there are blessings in brokenness. And when I lose sight of that, it gets pretty hard. But when I get centered again, it doesn't take away the brokenness, but it does give access to touching the blessing.
Beautifully said. And I'm not trying to move us forward, but actually that's a beautiful way of saying the four practice principles. When we're caught in the worry and everything, that's when we stay in the suffering. But when we step into the brokenness and the compassion flows there, you said it really nicely.
Well, and again, I start with thank you, I end with thank you.
Okay. And let's intone those four practice principles. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. And I see that Joel has his hand up, and I want to make sure we invite whatever he needs to say. Is that okay, Nellie? Get him there.
I've lost Joel.
Oh, he may have declined. I don't know. I thought maybe there was something he needed to share with us.
Uh,
That's okay. Maybe it was just an
I
accident.
think it was a
It
mistake.
was a mistake, Flint. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I don't know how that happened. Thank you so much for calling on me and
I'm glad I got to
for
say your
this
name.
beautiful talk.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to seeing you again next week, and let's continue our practice. Nellie, and any more you'd like to say?
Thank you so much, Flint. Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity, and your support makes a huge difference. So there is a link for contribution on the website. Thank you so much for supporting Appamada and Flint. And if you'd like to continue to meet, share, or simply connect, please just stay here where you are and pop yourself into gallery view and join myself and other participants for further 30 minutes on the online porch. Thank you so much.